Hello everyone. In this video, we'll go over how to create a customer invoice. To begin, we'll go to the invoice dashboard by going to Bookings, then Booking Charges, and then Invoices. When you click Get Started with Invoice, you'll automatically come in and be able to start creating your brand new invoice. You can create an invoice for a new customer or an existing customer. Let's start off and look for an existing customer. Now that we've searched for the customer and selected them, we've selected the address on file for them, and we'll click Next. And now we have an option to create an invoice from a booking that exists in the system already, or we can create a custom invoice outside of any bookings that exist in the system. In this case, let's go ahead and create an invoice for a booking that's already in the system. For the frequency, we'll select one time. This is going to be a one-time invoice. And for the issue date, we'll put today's date with the due date of tomorrow's date. We can also select when the invoice will be sent if we have a premium plan. We can set it for 8 a.m. tomorrow. Next, we can select the booking for which the invoice is being created. And now we'll click Next. Now if we scroll down, we can see a preview of the invoice here. There are various options that can be included in the invoice itself. For example, if we'd like to add the frequency of the booking, service category, and any extras, the information will be included in the invoice. Under customization, we can upload a logo, and we have short codes for the company name, the support email address, and we can enter a company email address or a company address as well. We also can change the language on various labels for the invoice number, the issue date, due date, etc. And if you have multiple languages, you can choose to translate your invoice into a different language. Here again, we see the preview of the invoice so far. And then we have a note section here. So if you'd like to add any custom note to the invoice itself, this will appear as text on the invoice once it's sent out. Next, we'll click Save and Continue. And we have a couple of different options for charging. The first option is to allow partial or advanced payment. This basically allows you to split the total into multiple payments, up to 10 portions. For this example, we'll just use 2. And so we'll enter the first portion, and then the system will automatically calculate the portion for the second payment. We can also allow customers to tip. So if the customer chooses, they can add a tip to the invoice, which will go to the provider. Now there's a couple of different options beneath the tip. Do you want to allow the tip to be added in total or with specific bookings? So you can decide if the tip should be combined all into one, or if the tip should be added to specific bookings. If the tip is going to be combined, then the tip should be divided into either all bookings or just the first booking in the series. And so for this, we'll just decide all bookings. And next, for delivery options, if you have a premium plan, then you can send the invoice automatically, Otherwise, you can send it manually. So you can do this by copying the invoice link and then sending it out to your customer via email. In this case, we'll send automatically. Down here, there are some options to include additional emails. You can have a billing email address if you'd like to use a special email address for all of your billing. And you can also attach a PDF of the invoice in the email itself. So here is our schedule right now for sending out the invoice. And then at the very bottom, we have our manage notifications section. Right here, we have email notifications enabled for the admin and for the customer, not for the provider. This would be for if the provider gets a tip. There's also the same options for SMS, and then the provider tip option for app notifications. And we'll click next. So finally, you can review the invoice. It's been saved as a draft, so you can go back and check any of the sections that we've just gone through to make changes as needed. Or you can go ahead and if you're ready, you can approve it and send the invoice. All right, so the invoice has been created successfully. And now if we go under our invoice dashboard here, under the active invoices, we can see we have an invoice created. There's a card on file. We have the amount. And then under the actions, we have a couple of different options here. If we wanted the customer to add a different card on file, we can always have them send the add card link here. We can also copy the link to the invoice and manually send it to them at any time. Since this was sent automatically, we can resend it automatically as well. Tags can be added to invoices to help with general management and also reporting. Invoices can be duplicated, so if you're going to create an invoice with basically the same details for an upcoming booking, then you can do so very easily using this option. You can also delete this invoice, download it, print it, and then view logs for the invoice. Now let's go ahead and we'll create a slightly different type of invoice. For this, we'll put in a new customer, so I'll just enter some test information. And then click next. And then we can decide if we want this to be one time or recurring. And now let's go ahead and we'll do a recurring. So this is going to be a repeating, regular, recurring invoice that repeats at the frequency that we set here. And the options are daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, or custom. Custom allowing you to go in and set a finite period of days, weeks, months, or even years on the first, second, last, etc. of the month. In this case, we'll go ahead and create a weekly recurring invoice for every Friday. So we'll create the first invoice on this date. And for an end date, we'll put never for now. We'll set the time for when the invoice should be sent. And then each invoice can be due upon receipt, so same day, or you can add a period of days. So we'll add in 5 days. And then click next. Now again, we have the same options for customization, so we can add a logo, make various changes to the billing information, the build to information. And in here, we can add the actual elements for the custom invoice. All right, so now we've added some items to the invoice itself. We can add a quick note. And then click Save and Continue. Now again, we have the same options for allowing partial payment, for allowing customers to add tips. For this, since it's a custom invoice, we have to select the provider. Then we have our delivery options. This time we'll click Send manually. And then Next. And then we'll click Approve and start recurring invoice. So now you can see under the Active Invoice tab here, we have our new recurring custom invoice for our test customer. So as you can see, there's quite a few different options when it comes to creating different invoices. We recommend you play around and decide what works best for your company. But again, the basic options are new customer versus existing customer. And then creating from booking invoices or creating custom invoices, which are not attached to any particular bookings. If you have any other questions about how the invoicing system works, please feel free to contact us. Our email address is support@bookingkoala.com. And thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone.